Hi guys, Mrs. Karaz here. Today we're looking at Chapter 3, Section 5, Spanish Colonies on the Borderlands. So remember, we saw this in previous chapters, Spain began establishing colonies in the Americas long before the English did. They established colonies in the Caribbean, Mexico, and South America. And the first Spanish colony in North America is in present-day Florida. So in the 1500s, many Europeans were exploring North America. When the French considered moving into Spanish territory in 1565, the Spanish decided to establish Fort Augustine in Florida. They wanted to block the French from moving towards their land. So Fort Augustine became the first European colony in North America, and it was Spanish particularly. When English power in the colonies began to grow in the late 1600s, the Spanish again felt threatened, just like they had felt when the French were coming over, right? So the Spanish offered freedom and land to any enslaved person who came south and helped defend Florida from the English. Hundreds of African Americans fled to Florida, but remember, it's not the easiest thing to escape slavery, and that's a very, very big understatement. So while this provided an opportunity for many people, percentage-wise, it's definitely not a majority. Looking at the borderlands, so borderlands are lands along a frontier that act as a border between different territories. And there were several Spanish borderland colonies, including Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and California. I apologize in advance for my pronunciation here because it will not be good. We have a gentleman named Juan de Onate who led an expedition to New Mexico in 1598. And he had three main goals for this mission. He wanted to find gold, right? We saw that as being a big driving factor for many explorers. He wanted to convert Native Americans to Christianity. And he wanted to establish a permanent colony in that area. And he succeeded in establishing a permanent colony that he named Santa Fe. And that is obviously still a very popular town in New Mexico today. In New Mexico, the Spanish ordered Native Americans to look after the horses. And when Native Americans escaped with the horses, they brought the skill of horseback riding back to their tribes. It was not so big previously, but this is one of the times that Native Americans start seeing the potential for horses and how to use and train them. And I think we'll see this image more in like popular depictions of the Wild West in the weeks to come. So we also have missions being established right now, particularly by members of the Roman Catholic Church. And missions are religious settlements that aim to spread their religion to a new area. And particularly the areas in question right now were Texas, Arizona, and California. And while in the Spanish colonies we're seeing Catholic missions, missions could be settlements that are aiming to convert anyone to any religion, right? It doesn't have to be just Catholics that use missions. Anyone could. So in these missions, priests taught about Catholicism and made Native Americans follow the rules of their religion. And most missions were rather unsuccessful, but they did lead way to popular cities. So San Antonio, Texas, San Diego, California, San Francisco, California, Los Angeles, California. These are all major U.S. cities that started as small Spanish missions. Spain also set up presidios, or military posts, to defend their missions, which seems a little ironic, but that's okay. They also established pueblos, or civilian towns, that became the centers of farming and trade. Each pueblo had a plaza that townspeople used to do business in. And our last slide for the day, looking at life in Spanish missions. Native Americans were forced to work in Spanish missions. That shouldn't surprise us from what we saw of Columbus, right? So Native Americans farmed, they built churches, and they learned a range of crafts. For the most part, Native Americans had no control over their lives and would be punished by missionaries if they broke the rules. But many Native Americans did rebel against this treatment. And not shockingly, thousands of Native Americans died during this time because of both disease and poor living conditions in Spanish America. So, ending on a downer note, but that's it for today. We'll talk about this all more in class. Have a great day, guys.